Well, hello again, and welcome to week 2 of professional development. So want to go over a couple things that are going to be assigned this week. This week we have the truths about you, your resume first draft, your cover letter first draft, discussion question 2, and then telling your story. So the truths about you are, again, just a list of questions that are designed to help you do some self-reflection and for you just to kind of learn more about yourself, because growth actually only happens in the uncomfortable self-reflection of our journey. So I ask you guys to take the time, answer the questions, just to get to know yourself a little bit deeper. I mean, we all know ourselves, but there's always room to dive a little deeper. And the reason why I assign this assignment is because when you know yourself and you feel very confident about like what makes you tick and your strengths and your weaknesses and things you like and your passions and why you do what you do, it really helps you answer interview questions a lot better because you can kind of dig in a little bit deeper and you're not given just these superficial answers, which most candidates do. They just kind of breeze through these questions um, because they're just trying to get through the interview. They're trying to like say whatever they think the interviewer is looking for. But when you can come off as an authentic, genuine person that knows yourself and knows, your confidence. You've heard me say this several times. Confidence is the number one skill that you can master that will really set you apart from your competition. And that's what it is. You've got a huge bank of competition that you guys have to compete against. And so you have to stand out. And you can do that by doing these things that we're talking about in this course, researching the company, knowing the job description in and out, knowing who is interviewing you, being confident, having your answers prepared, but without, just spouting them off with rote memorization. You don't want to seem like you're just some machine that should like, this is what I practice, you're just given a speech. It doesn't have to be like that. It has to be something that's a little bit more fluid. And the more confident you are, the more you practice, the more it'll come across that way. And then it just relaxes the atmosphere. I have been on several job interviews and I know what it's like to go in unprepared. I know what it's like to go in prepared, and it's a completely different experience. It just, when you're more comfortable, then the interviewer is more comfortable. And then it really does become a two-way conversation versus just someone firing interview questions at you and you're all nervous and, sweating and just like, oh my gosh, I forgot. Yeah, I don't know what to say. I don't know how to answer that. So when you're prepared and you've practiced, then you are comfortable. And that's why the truth about you is a really great assignment. Now, your rough draft resume can just be that. It can absolutely be a rough draft. And I do want to preface this with you're going to have a final copy resume. And typically in my in-person class, we do like some peer editing, we do some stuff in class. So, I kind of toyed around with this, but since I've already put it out there, maybe for next summer, I'll take it off. Just one. But if you find out that you submit your rough draft and then it comes time for your final, but you're like, I'm really comfortable with the way that my resume looks, that's perfectly fine. There's no one size fits all. But if you really do want to, kind of beef it up and make sure that it is top notch so that you do get noticed by recruiters and hiring managers, then take the time to, listen to this video. I'm going to go over some resume tips. We're going to look at some good resumes, bad resumes, and how to kind of revise those. You can also load your resume to Quincia, which again is on your single sign-on. Make sure that you click that blue link that says activate license, and it'll analyze it for you, but also take Quincia with a grain of salt. It is an AI software, so it's not perfect. It might say, and I've had students say like, hey, it dinged me and said that I didn't have bullet points when I clearly have bullet points. So again, take that with a grain of salt, but also jobscan.co is another great resource. There's a lot of free abilities of that website. Now it is a paid thing. I'm trying to get that onto our college's license, but right now we don't have it. But if you wanted to use it, there are some free features that you'd be able to use where again, it can kind of scan your resume and take a look at that. And if you had a job description, you could load the job description and your resume and it could look at it and it'll tell you again, the free features are limited. If you wanted to pay for the whole version, then you would get a full resume job description like analysis, but at least it gives you some things to work off of. So again, that's jobscan.co, jobscan.co. The next one is your cover letter. You're going to draft your cover letter based off of the job description that you used in last week's group of assignments. And we're going to talk about how to do a cover letter as well. And then D2, make sure that when you are responding to the discussion question that you also go back and respond to a peer so you get full points. And then the telling your story. So the instructions on telling your story are pretty clear, but for some reason, I always get questions every semester that I teach this course. So what I would like for you to do in the telling your story is go back to your career planning worksheet, those 10 words or skills or attributes that you listed in that me bubble. Go back and use those. That's just the easiest way to do it. Now, you don't have to. I'm not going to cross-check and make sure that you did. This is just my recommendation. Since you already did the work, you already came up with 10 words that you thought described you or skills that you have or attributes that you have. So why, don't reinvent the wheel. Don't make it, harder for yourself. But again, if you don't want to, you don't have to. But in the telling your story, you are going to pick 10 different skills. Now, I do give you an example that is not one of the 10. If you only do 9 of your own and use the example as one, you're not going to get full points. Again, didn't think I'd have to explain that, but just so that I can be clear. So you're going to pick 10 skills, 10 tasks, and then you're going to tell 10 short stories. And the reason for this assignment is this is how you're going to pull for your cover letter. You're going to pull to be able to answer some interview questions. You're already doing the work. I'm a big fan of front loading. Do as much as you possibly can on the front end so that as you go on more job interviews and as you have to write more cover letters, because you have to write a new cover letter for every job. And that can be cumbersome. And people get really nervous about cover letters. So if you already had some of these stories already written out, you could just copy and paste. Now, you do need to tailor each cover letter specifically to each job that you apply for, but the stories are the same. So, your intro and your conclusion could be different, but your body and your cover letter could, if the skill in job A is asking for communication skills and you have a story about communication skills, and then you go to apply for job B that also says something about communication skills, you can use that same story because the story itself doesn't change. But, as long as the cover letter is not generic, because recruiters and hiring managers can spot a generic resume cover letter a mile away. Even if it is the most pristine looking document, if it is not specific to the job that you're applying for, it will get tossed. And I cannot tell you how many times students come to me and say, I have literally applied to 50 jobs and no one is calling me back. I'm not getting any interviews or anything. And I say, well, are you sending out the exact same resume, exact same cover letter? And they're like, yes. I'm like, that's why. And some people just resist it. And if you want to resist it, that's up to you. But the likelihood that you're going to get past the AI system or that you're going to stand out to a recruiter or hiring manager is very slim. Now, some people may get away with it, but the majority of us do not. So you have to tailor your cover letter and your resume for every job you apply for. So that is why I asked you to do the telling your story. And if you actually take the time and put some thought and effort into it, then you will have a nice paragraph that you feel comfortable with that you can just copy and paste. And I'm talking like 2 to 3 sentences. It does not have to be long. You're going to put that in your cover letter. And your cover letter should be about 3/4 of a page anyway. We don't want it to be, margin to margin of words. They're not going to read it. We're going to talk about cover letter in just a minute, so I don't want to get ahead of myself. But those are the assignments. The truths about you, your rough draft resume, your rough draft cover letter, discussion question 2, and then telling your story. All right, so let's talk about resume. So I've got several documents that I want to show you right now. So I'm going to get one pulled up here. All right. Let's start with a bad resume. I love these. These are fun for me. All right. This is, if I was going into the professional world, when I mean that, like in the business world, accounting, finance, business, marketing, this is just not a professional resume. If I was going into something, maybe theater, or maybe I was going to be a primary school teacher, this might be a little bit more applicable. But first of all, if having a picture, you don't need to have a picture. And I'm speaking from the School of Business. If you are a different major, like again, theater or the performing arts or something like that, maybe that's different. But for the School of Business students, this is not professional. You do not need a picture. And then let's say you were just like adamant that, yes, I'm going to have my picture on there. This is a terrible picture. If you look really closely, my child is actually in the photo. We're sitting on the couch. He's laying kind of on my shoulder. It's not a professional headshot. My kid's in there, and I did this on purpose just to kind of show these are the kind of things that employers do not want to see. It's, my face is kind of cropped out, my kid's in the photo. I don't have a suit on. It's not a professional backdrop. It's not a professional headshot. So if you were adamant about having a photo, which I would suggest against, but there is no one size fits all. So if you want to have a photo, then by all means, put a photo on. I'm just going to say I wouldn't recommend it. But if you are going to have one, make sure it is a professional headshot. So this is not a good resume. All right. Here is another example of a bad resume. Bring this over. All right. Another example of a bad resume. My name does not need to be a different color. We really want to stick with black and white. You don't need all these crazy fonts. Your name should be the biggest thing on your resume for sure, but I'm talking like 16 point or maybe 14 point. But this is just crazy. Like right now, I think this is like 48 point font. That's just insane. And the red doesn't need to be on there. And the size is 48 and the font doesn't need to be that. Just keep the font the same all the way down. Times New Roman is perfectly fine. I would not recommend going below 11 point font, but you do want to try to keep your resume to one page. Really, they're not going to look past it. If you're some PhD who's published a ton of things and you've done all this, and you've got, 25 years of experience, that's one thing. But I have 25 years of experience and I still am able to keep my resume to one page. All right. So first off is the color, the size and the font is just inappropriate. I do have my contact information, so that's good. All right, let's look at the professional summary. Eager, motivated team player, able to multitask in a fast environment, and I'm looking for a management position with a company in the manufacturing industry. Okay, lots going on here. First of all, there's some grammar and some spelling that are wrong. So you must proofread your documents. If you have a spelling error or grammatical error, the employer is just going to be like, okay, this person is either lazy or incompetent, because you need to be able to proofread. And there's Word picks up on those things, but Grammarly, if you're really uncomfortable and you're not sure about your, grammatical abilities, have somebody else look it over for you. There's no shame in that whatsoever. So another thing here is personal pronouns. We don't want any personal pronouns on your resume. It's just one of those unspoken rules. So if I was going to keep the professional summary on, which is something I recommend to not have, again, personal preference, but employers nowadays are saying that they really just don't want to see it. They're not going to read it. Some are really turned off by it, but then there are some that say, hey, I really like it. So again, that's a personal preference. I personally take mine off. I do not have one. But if I was going to keep this one on, I would just take off the I and say eager, motivated, okay? You don't need that, nor do you want punctuation. So there should be no period at the end of this professional summary. Multitask is a word that you do not want on your resume. That is a buzzword that is just a huge turnoff. Psychological studies prove that we do not have the ability to multitask, and recruiters or hiring managers see that and they just get really turned off. So, instead of saying multitask, you could say, able to handle multiple projects or prioritize deadlines of multiple projects. You're still saying the same thing, but without that word. For some reason, that is a big buzzword that they don't like to hear. Also, team player. They don't like to hear that word either. Even though they want to know that you have the ability to work on a team, for some reason, they don't like the word team player. And here's more. I am looking for, so this professional summary is just total. There's spelling, there's grammar, there's punctuation, there is personal pronouns, and it's not specific. If I was going to keep this, I need to make it very specific. Is eager, motivated, team player, and multitasking in the job description? If not, it's not relevant. The only things on your resume and cover letter have to be relevant to the job description. So if in the job description it said that they needed someone who was eager, motivated, blah, 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 then yeah, of course you could put that on there. But then what you would want to go further and say, eager, motivated, team player able to handle multiple projects or prioritize deadlines in a fast-paced environment, is looking for, and then state the position specifically, is looking for level 2 manager at ABC company. You know what I'm saying? It's got to be specific. So just the fact that I'm looking for a management position within a company in the manufacturing industry is very generic. And this is what I'm talking about when recruiters and hiring managers will see that. And they're like, you put this on every single resume. You just are just blanketly applying to everything. It doesn't make them feel special. They want to know that this is the job for you. And then when we talk about the interview question on why should we hire you or why do you want to work for us, that's where we're going to get into where you really sell yourself and say like, this is my dream job. This is where I want to be. Employers don't want to hire someone. They don't want to waste their time in interviewing someone and hiring someone and putting forth all those resources and effort and money. It takes a recruiter 40 hours. That's an entire work week. 40 hours to interview 10 candidates for one position. So they don't want to spend those resources on someone who's just looking for a job. They want someone who is as invested in their company as they are. They want someone who is just like, oh, I love this job. This is it for me, and I'm going to give it my all. Because then if I'm the hiring manager, and I'm, interviewing somebody and I'm looking at your resume and your cover letter and you're like, this is the end all be all for me. It's going to let me know that you're going to come in and do a fantastic job, whether I'm watching or not. So like, for example, I love my job. I'm very passionate about what I do. I enjoy coming to work every day. My boss is clear across campus in a whole other building. She doesn't have to check in and make sure that I'm here. She doesn't have to check in to make sure that I'm doing my work or that I'm doing it well, because I love what I do and I believe in what I am doing. And that's that kind of confidence that, supervisors want on their team. They don't want to have to, be micromanaging people who are just going to perform when they're being watched. So if you're just coming across like, hey, I just need a paycheck, I don't really care where I get a job, I just need money, then first of all, you're not going to put forth a whole lot of effort. At least that's the message that you're sending to the recruiter or hiring manager. And then you're also to your flight risk. They're going to pour all this into you. It costs so much money and time and effort and resources to interview, to hire, to onboard, to do, if they offer benefits, and they have to maybe do background screens and maybe they have to do other kinds of, reference checks and all this kind of stuff. That takes a long time. And they do all that, and 6 months later, you're jumping ship for a better position. That doesn't sit well with them. They want someone who is going to stay with their company and grow. So take the time to tailor your resume specifically. Okay, so coming down here, let's look at the education piece. All right. Basically, this should be flipped. Capella University should be on top because your resume does go in reverse chronological order. You can see that I graduated from Kennesaw in 02, but from Capella in 2020. So you need to flip that. And then if I'm going to have my dates right aligned, they should be all the way to the edge of the line here. Again, that's just uniform. You can put your dates wherever you want, but if you put dates somewhere, like if they're left aligned under education, they need to be left aligned for everything. It's all just about, the fluidity of your resume. It should be very easy to read. You don't want them having to search through and try to find stuff that you did, you want to make it super easy for them. Also too, look, I've got graduating class 2002 is italicized, but graduating class 2020 is not. It's just one of those formatting things. Content isn't more important over format, but they do see that. And that does stand out. It's just not consistent. Same with, look, I have education is all capital, but professional summary is not. So if I have it all capital, all of my headings need to be all capital. All right, coming down here, Florida Southern College, Associate Director of Career Services. There's my dates. Now, here are my bullet points. Teach professional development class. I help students write resumes and cover letters. Worked with others to put on events for students. Develop a strong relationship with relationships with others. So a couple things. There's that personal pronoun. Once again, we don't want that on there. So you could just go help students, right? Then look, worked. That's in the past tense. But if you look over here on my dates, it is still, am I sharing my resume? So make sure I'm sharing my resume. Yeah, okay. I get nervous. But I'm currently still working here. So this should always be present tense. So the job that you're working at, again, reverse chronological order. So the most recent or the most relevant, if you waited tables over the summer, but you had an internship during the school year, we'd want to highlight the internship over the waiting tables because that's just more relevant. But if all of your work is relevant, just go with reverse chronological order. But here, teach professional development class. What does that mean? And why? So when you write your bullet points, always ask yourself, so what? If you could say that twice, so what? Okay, I teach professional development class. Okay, so what? What is the reason I do that? What is the purpose of that? Oh, well, that is to help prepare students to enter the professional environment. Cool. Now it's a little bit more beefy. It's a little bit more robust. All right. So what? So I teach professional development class to help students prepare for the professional world. So what? So if I can ask myself that twice, I'm really going to drill down to the reason why I did what I did. Be as specific as possible. And if possible, quantify any of your statements. When you quantify your statements, it really offers tangible evidence of the things that you do, right? It shows an employer that you really can do this, and you're giving like an example in a sense, without these huge long paragraphs. These bullet points should be punchy. They should be short. Really try to keep them on a line or maybe 2 lines at most. But we're not trying the cover letters where you're going to be able to really go into detail, and then of course in the interview you're definitely going to go into detail. But if you can quantify, teach professional development class, all right, is that 1 class? Is that 5 classes? Is that 1 student? Is that 500 students? Like, try to quantify your data. I help students write resumes and cover letters. So what? Again, drill down to why you're doing it. Work with others to put on events for students. Work with who? What events? How many events? Why? What kind of events, right? Develop strong relationships with others. That's just throwing that out there. That's like, we don't want to list just our transferable skills, or they're called soft skills or employability skills. You just can't list good communication skills, because if you list that without any type of evidence or backing up, an employer is just going to dismiss it, because anybody can say that they have that, unless you can state when you did it and how and why. So you don't want to have a skills category that just talks about that. So here, as you can see down here, I have transferable skills, communication, problem solving, adaptability, and leadership. Get rid of this. Do not have this on your resume. Instead, infuse communication skills, problem solving, so on and so forth, into the bullet points of your resume or up in your professional summary or your objective if you choose to keep that on there. Okay, so this is a bad resume. I would not like this. Let me show you a revised. Close that out. All right, bad resume revised. So cleaned this up. Oh man, my word. Okay. I should have done this in a PDF because my format is actually the way that's supposed to be. Where is my Zoom? My format is how it's supposed to be, but when I opened it back up here, it got all janky. So, all right. So I changed my name to just, you know, the black and white. It's not crazy fonts. It's not crazy big or anything like that. This is only 12 point or 16 point font. Again, there's my contact information. I took out the professional summary. I flipped the Capella and the Kennesaw. It was right. It was all right aligned. It was the way that I was supposed to, but I'm going to have to do this as a PDF for next time. All right. So, but let's look at my bullet point statements. So remember I said teach professional development class was my initial bullet point. Now I have design and teach a professional development course for 140 first-year college students focusing on developing essential career planning and management skills. Way more robust than just teach professional development class. Way more. That looks a lot better. I said, I help students write resumes and cover letters. So instead I said, serve as a personal career coach for approximately 600 students in the School of Business to revise resumes, prepare for job interviews, and career research. I'm quantifying my statements. It's a lot more robust than just saying I help students. Well, how many students? There's roughly about 600 students, and I'm the only career coach for the students. We have an internship coordinator, which is Takara Graham. I think hopefully you guys already know her if you're kind of further along in your college career. All right, work with others to put on events for students is now collaborate with team and community partners to plan and host approximately 10 large-scale events each academic year to bring employers and students together to create post-graduation opportunities for students. Oof, a lot more, right? 10 large-scale events, that's pretty cool. Why do we do that? Post-graduation. What is the purpose? Drill down to why you did what you did. And then I said something about strong relationships. I have established and maintained relationships with students, faculty, and campus partners to present students with a wide variety of career-related events to network and learn about potential internships and career opportunities. So hopefully you can see how much more robust this resume is the other one. Okay, let's get rid of that one. All right. Okay, so here's another resume that I want to share with you. And then we're going to go ahead and put this to rest. Nope. Hold on. Oh yeah, it's an image here. Okay, so I just want to give you an opportunity to look at this. This is actually a resume of a friend of mine. She sent this to me and asked for my help. So I was looking over it. It ended up being almost 3 pages long. You can tell it doesn't even look like she really used a template. There's really not a whole lot of formatting. There's a lot of wasted white space over here on the left. She uses some personal pronouns. I'm going to try to bring this in a little bit. She uses personal pronouns, and basically she's using her resume and kind of talking almost as if she was talking in her cover letter. She's giving lots of detail, and she's using some some language like I had the honor of being, both a shift lead and, bartender. Her professional summary is very generic, driven, professional individual with exceptional customer service ability, who is trustworthy and motivated to expand knowledge, skills, and build relations with clients through technology. It sounds pretty good, but it's just not specific. She right now currently works at Best Buy, and she was applying for this Apple consultant position. So she was trying to kind of move up, and she would go from working for Best Buy to working for Apple, but she doesn't identify the position. She doesn't identify the company, anything like that. again, with all the personal pronouns and punctuation, and it's just kind of all over the place. So this was something, and she was very resistant. I kind of went through it. And again, there's no one size fits all. If you want to send this kind of resume, by all means, but in the professional world, it just really needs to be cleaned up. It's not like it's bad per se, but it just needs to definitely be cleaned up. So when I talked to her about her profile statement, she was very adamant that she wanted to have it on there. So I was like, okay, absolutely. So then what we did was I pulled this from the job description. Professional summary. Okay. So the desired job was the Apple Solutions Consultant. And again, here's her original profile, driven professional individual with exceptional, blah, blah, blah. We just read that. Okay. So here are some of the things that I pulled from the job description. So you can take a moment and look through that. Possessing strong sales, service, and product knowledge, proven track record, goes on. These are the things that are in there is what I drafted this for her. Mature, experienced sales associate with a proven track record to meet and exceed sales goals by communicating with a variety of Apple customers and delivering passionate customer service through specific product suggestions that enhances lifestyle solutions, seeks to further contribute to the Apple family through the Apple Solutions Consultant position. So it is pulling things from the job description that they're asking for. So she's saying, I have these things, versus just saying I'm motivated and I'm eager and I'm a fast learner and all this kind of stuff, which is great. But if that's not in the job description, then it's just really not very relevant. So you want it to be specific. If you are going to have a professional summary or a profile statement or objective or however it is you label it, make sure that it is specific and it is pulling from the job description. Okay. So we're going to stop with resumes there. I think we've got a pretty good handle on that. I'm going to load a one-pager resume tips and tricks when I post this video. So let's move on to cover letters. So cover letters are actually one of my favorite things. These are actually pretty cool. There's a video in the cover letter assignment that you can watch where she kind of talks about it as well and goes down the main things. And I also have a cover letter kind of worksheet or cheat sheet that I'm also going to post as an attachment into the announcement when I post this video. So your cover letter, unless specifically stated otherwise, needs to accompany your resume. If you're applying for something online and there's no place to upload a cover letter, then obviously don't worry about it. Or if they say email your resume to this, whatever, make sure you follow the directions in the job posting, because if you don't, even if it's specific about like what you should put in the subject line, if you don't do that, then it's just gonna get tossed because you're gonna be like, you can't follow directions. So they tell you specifically, do whatever's in there. If they say, send your resume and cover letter, or if they say, just, send your resume, when in doubt, always send a cover letter. But if they say specifically, just send your resume, then don't. Follow the directions. But anyway, so a cover letter is pretty easy. It really has like 3 main components that you need to worry about, like your intro, your body, your conclusion. And then, of course, your header and stuff like that. So we're going to talk about that in a minute. I have an example to show you. So the intro is where you are going to make a connection. This is where you're going to identify the position that you're applying for and why you're applying for it, and like what it does for you. This is where you get to show some of your passion. This is also the first real piece of writing that an employer is going to get to see. So this is the barometer that they get an opportunity to judge your professional writing skills against. So you want to be very careful again with spelling and grammar, which is, really on the tip top there. But you want to talk about you're applying for this position and why. Make some kind of personal connection. What is it about this job at this company that you feel drawn to? And if you're having a hard time with that, ask yourself, why am I applying for this job? So it could be something like maybe you're applying to be, the HR director of a center for kidney dialysis. And you could say, I'm applying for this position. When my grandmother was going through dialysis at this place, she was treated so well. whatever, you kind of tell a little bit of a story that's really personal. Make sure it's true. It could be something like that. Or, when I was going, through dialysis or, something like that. If it's true, then you're making that connection and you're letting them know, like, I have a personal investment into this position, but maybe you don't. Okay. And that's fine too. So maybe you're applying to work at Walt Disney World, and you could say, ever since I was a little girl or little boy, those ears, those Mickey ears just called to me, and I loved, my fondest memories are, riding the teacup ride or Mr. Toad's Wild Ride or something like you're making that connection, that it's not just, you're just not going in to the position just because you need a job. Remember, you are selling your skills and the value that you're bringing to that company, and they want to know that you are as invested in their company and their mission as they are. So you must research the company, make some kind of note to their mission and vision, or the things that they do. You should know if this company that you're applying for, do they sell products or services? If so, what are they? Who are their competition? Those are things that you guys need to know. And you can use that in your intro. Then you'll have maybe 2, maybe 3 body paragraphs. Again, we're shooting for about 3/4 lengths page. We don't want a full page, and we don't want just 1 or 2 paragraphs. That sweet spot is about 3/4 length page. This is where you're going to talk about your skills. This goes back to that assignment, telling your story. So if in the job description, always going back to the job description, if in the job description, it says that they need someone with excellent communication skills, or they need someone with ability to develop a curriculum, or somebody that can work with diverse populations. Perfect. That's what you talk about. If there's nowhere on there that about being able to train dogs, you're not going to talk about your awesome skills at training dogs, even though you may be the best dog trainer in all of the state of Florida. If that's not relevant to the job that you're applying for, it doesn't belong on your resume, cover letter, or in your interview questions. So going back to the job description, you're going to pick, 2 or 3 skills that you feel that you have, and you're going to talk about those. And then in your conclusion, you're going to just wrap it up. It's super short, super sweet. Again, just reiterating that your enthusiasm, that you want this job, and, maybe identify some of your skills again, but also a call to action. And my best recommendation here is to act as if. So act as if you already have the job. Stay away from stuff like, I hope I hear from you, or if you would like to learn more, let me know, or I hope this is a good fit, anything like that, because it kind of sounds like you're not sure. So you just want to be like, I look forward to hearing from you. I look forward to the next steps, whatever feels more comfortable for you. Make sure it's in your everyday vernacular. Don't, get a thesaurus out and start like trying to use all these big words. And, if that's not how you talk, it's not going to be genuine or authentic. So make sure that you are talking in the way that you talk and it feels comfortable for you, so that when they do interview you, the verbiage on your cover letter is going to match the conversation that you're about to have in the interview. So let me show you an example of, this was a position that I found with Game Time, and they do tickets, like it's almost like, I don't know, Ticketmaster, I guess. So this is the same header that I have on my resume. So just copy and paste. This is the best thing that you can do. That way, in case they get separated, the 2 documents, they're super easy to find them. Most things are digital, but let's just say you've got an old school person who likes to print stuff off. So they might have your resume and cover letter. So my header is the same on my resume as it is on my cover letter. Then over here, the next line, I skip a line. The next line is the date. Then I come down here, skip a line, and now I have the company name, Game Time. Now you can or not put the address on there. That is completely up to you. There are certain people who say absolutely. There are people that say no. Some people say, hey, I know where they know where they work. You don't need to put the address. But let's say you're applying for a company that has multiple locations. And so you might want to put the address on so that you are being clear about the location that you are applying for. Now, next is the salutation here. Dear Game Time team. Now, if you know the person's name that you are sending your resume and cover letter to, that's even better. So, dear Megan Morrow, dear Joe Smith, stay away from Mr., Miss, Mrs., just because of all that gender fluidity. You don't really know. We don't want to misgender somebody, especially if they have maybe a gender neutral name like Casey or Kelly. You just don't know, right? You can always go with dear hiring manager. That's always very applicable, but stay away from dear sir or madam or to whom it may concern. Those are just outdated and they just kind of leave a bad taste. All right, so here's my opening paragraph. So when I saw the position for learning and development lead, so I'm identifying the position. I don't have to say my name is Megan Morrow because it's already on my header. They already know who I am. So when it came available, I was very excited to apply. I believe in humanizing the human experience by making memories through shared experiences. That is their mission. That is what they do. So now I'm saying that my goals, my morals, my values align with your mission and vision. I am passionate about bringing people together and growing through bonding experiences. Again, I'm making that personal connection. This is why you need to hire me, because I feel the same way you do. I have the same morals and values that you do. My mission is your mission. And then, okay, so here I have two body paragraphs here. And in the job description, it said that somebody had to be comfortable creating and delivering a program. So I talk about from a previous experience, as a former director of the Leadership Academy at Lake Region, I was tasked with creating and developing. I'm telling them, this is a skill you want. I have it. I've already done it. So I'm giving a quick story. Look, it's just a short little story about when I developed and delivered a program and the value that it brought. Okay, so if you read on to say, delivering a program that paired incoming freshmen with upperclassmen to help ease the transition from middle school to high school. I led my students through their own curriculum development for them to teach and mentor their assigned freshmen. Within 2 years, we saw a 45% decrease in behavior referrals from the freshman cohort. So I've quantified my data, I brought value, and I'm showing them, hey, I've already done this and I'm good at it. So yeah, I've got what you're looking for. I go on to talk about communication, interpersonal skills. Again, from a previous experience, I'm now using my associate director of career services here at Florida Southern College. I'm giving a short story. That's why the telling your story is such a great assignment, because I have these already written and done. So if I go to apply for another job that's asking for interpersonal skills or communication skills or developing a curriculum, my paragraph's already written. I'd have to copy and paste. I have to make sure that I tailor, the header and the opening paragraph and the closing, but my body paragraph's done. That's pretty cool. So then in closing, I am so excited about the opportunity to develop a training curriculum for your staff that will greatly enhance the human experience of making memories through shared experiences, reiterating their mission and vision. I know I will be a great asset to your team, and I look forward to setting up an interview with you to further discuss what skills and knowledge I can bring to your team. I'm speaking very much as if this is just a sales thing. You're just like, the deal is done. I'm the best candidate. We both know it. We just need to go through the formality part of it. So I don't say, I hope I hear from you, or here's my contact information, because it's already up here. They already have your contact information. You don't need to reiterate that. And then again, you're going to say thank you or best or regards or sincerely, anything that feels comfortable for you. I usually just say thank you, so thank you, Megan Morrow. I could even go a step further when I say, setting up an interview, discuss the skills. Thank you for your time and consideration. That's even nice too. Always using your manners and saying please and thank you is always really nice. So that's a cover letter. It's pretty easy. This is the example. If you want, I'll also load this as an example in the announcement as well. So that is what we are doing this week. So resumes, cover letters, your drafts, the truths about you, the discussion question 2, and telling your story. Now, I'm not going to critique your resume or cover letter because, again, it has to be how you feel comfortable. But if you would like specific feedback on any of your stuff, I'm more than happy to do that. What I would like for you to do is, if you want me to critique your resume, just email it to me. Don't do it through Canvas because links don't always work. You need to email it to my email, my mmorrow@fl southern.edu. Send it to my email. I'll be more than happy to review it and give you some recommendations. You do or do not have to take them, but I will definitely give you recommendations if you ask for them. And the same with your cover letter. But if you do send me a cover letter, I do need the job description. So if you just upload the assignments, that's fine. If you want the specific feedback, make sure that you send it to me. Okay, that's week 2. Later today, I am going to work on the next 2 interview questions, and I will have those posted hopefully later today or early tomorrow. As always, if you have any questions or need anything, I'm on the 3rd floor of Becker, or you can email me or message me through Canvas. All right, guys, let me know if you need anything, and I hope that the second week is good for you. All right, take care. Bye-bye.